Buffangoo, huh? Oh, Buffangoo you, eh? Welcome, huge movie fanatic Nate, stopping on by. This time I'm coming your way to review I guess you can definitely call this a retro laser video disc release. So, way back in 2022, I think it was the 50th anniversary of the Godfather film, the classic gangster epic from Francis Ford Coppola, however the hell you pronounce his last name. 50th anniversary of Godfather in 2022, and although I was definitely familiar with the movie, having seen it probably for the first time maybe when I was, I don't know, 13 or 14, so in the early 90s, and being relatively, then I got my dad the DVD trilogy, I think for his birthday later on, and towards the end of like 2009 or something. So I've been familiar with the movies. My kind of take at the over the years where these are kind of overrated. But what I'm saying is, in 2022, for the 50th anniversary of the first film, I kind of got back into them, and I bought the Blu-ray trilogy and watched them a lot more than I'd ever watched the three Godfather films, and. It was like this, I can just remember the spring of 2022, I was just, kind of rewatching them, and I'm like, you know what, these are kind of growing on me. I guess I kind of, the more I watched them in 2022, I guess the more I kind of understood the grand, whatever, mythos and, why the first couple films anyway are, I guess, so highly regarded, although I still kind of stand by my thought that perhaps they're maybe still a little overrated, but I definitely understood them, more in like the spring of 2022 when I was revisiting the films on repeat on Blu-ray. And over the years, that kind of led me to, you guys may know that if you watched any number of my videos and stuff, my showcasings of LaserDisc and or VHSs, you guys might know that I'm a really big fan for movies that mean something to me. I'm a really big fan of trying to get the original film to tape transfer, some of the original releases, because in many cases that's the very first way, having grown up in the 80s and stuff, seeing a lot of this stuff in the 80s or the early 90s, that would have been the way I saw some of these movies for the very first time. I think the same thing can be said probably for this movie. I can only assume the version that we would have rented in the early 90s would have probably been this first on VHS. It would have been this first film to tape transfer. So I was able to find this for a relatively decent price. Now this isn't this first release. I think the first release was probably non-Pioneer release. I have experience with this with the film Friday the 13th. I have the original North American LaserDisc release, and then the second one that was put out not long after manufactured by Pioneer. And I've become more aware and learned in subsequent months and stuff that you're pretty much guaranteed a pretty good laser video disc release with if you get a Pioneer release. So I chose not to get the original, but probably the second LaserDisc release of The Godfather on eBay to experience and own what I can only assume. Well, if it's not the original film to tape transfer, it's the first one that was ever presented on VHS, Beta, Max, and in this case LaserDisc, stopping on by to showcase this LaserDisc or laser video disc release of The Godfather, released in 1981. As we can see on the back of the cover, bottom corner, copyright 1981, Paramount Pictures Corporation, all rights reserved. And this is what I looked for on the eBay listings, manufactured by Pioneer Video Incorporated. I don't buy these just to have them and hang them on the wall. I buy these to watch them, and in some cases put the LaserDisc on the DVD and stuff. So in this case, or in every LaserDisc purchasing case, I want obviously you want to have the best shot of having the best image quality possible, and not the laser rot version of the non-Pioneer versions. So although there were the non-Pioneer versions available on eBay, I definitely made a conscious choice to seek out and purchase the Pioneer version, which I'm happy to say is more or less rot free, and it was, oh my God, this being probably the first way I saw The Godfather in the early 90s. It was just such a, obviously we've seen this movie if you've seen the remastered DVDs and then the Blu-rays. We've seen this movie just look so much, this visually just looks so much better over the years, and it's just, like I say, it's such a treat for someone like me, being a child of the 70s and growing up in the 80s. It's such a treat to be able to go back and see some of these just god-awful, film-to-tape transfers, and it's really interesting now with the ability to see this movie on home video in such a high-quality presentation. It's always so interesting for me to go back and experience, a movie like this in such archaic home video quality. It's really fun. Taking a closer look at the front cover, I really love the simplicity of this, and I think the first VHS releases did pretty much the same thing by just being a black background with just the white Godfather logo, but it really goes good on this more of a square kind of a packaging for the LaserDisc. In this case, top corner we can see Laser Video Disc. Pretty much the main thing that you see on the front cover here, of course, is the classic The Godfather logo with the marionette thing included as well, and very famous poster / cover art. Bottom corner here we can see the Laser Vision logo and extended play. Other bottom corner is the early 80s Paramount Home Video logo and its glorious Paramount Home Video blue color. I gotta say, this simple cover for this LaserDisc release is just really super cool to me. It's just like sometimes less is more, and I think this is one of those times. Really cool. Taking a look at the back cover, as we can see, top center, the Godfather logo, basically it's white on black. The whole packaging is mostly black with the white logo and white print and things. Top corner there we can see, must be catalog number, LV8049. Abbreviated credits can be found under the title logo thing. Early 80s blue Paramount logo can be seen there, in addition to the copyright 1972 Paramount Pictures Corporation for the release year of the film. As I've said many times in multiple LaserDisc showcasings, one of the great things about the LaserDisc format is it's basically the size, the packaging is the size of an LP vinyl record, so you have all this real estate to just go bonkers with photos. In this case we've got 6 whopping photos, and they're each a decent size even. As we can see here on the back cover, it's just primarily pictures to tell the story of The Godfather on LaserDisc in this case, with just a little bit on the bottom there of actually synopsis in word form. We can see towards the bottom there, 1972, release year of the film, color, rated R, and a whopping 171 minutes. Francis Ford Coppola's epic masterpiece features Oscar winner Marlon Brando as the patriarch of the Corleone family. Coppola paints a chilling portrait of a Sicilian family's rise and near fall from power in America, and the passage of rights from father to son. He masterfully balances the story between family life and the ugly business of crime in which they are engaged. Based on Mario Puzo's best-selling novel, this graphic and brilliant film garnered 10 Academy Award nominations. Early 80s blue Paramount Home Video logo can be found there. Right next to that is the Laser Vision logo, which is basically the logo for the LaserDisc format. You can see bottom corner all important copyright warning information there. On the bottom center it reads, "This video disc is extended play. In this format it can offer chapter search, scan, pause, and dual channel sound, depending on the recorded contents. When not in use, place video disc in jacket and store in cool, dry place." Taking a look at the side 1 label for this LaserDisc release, they chose a very appropriate Paramount blue color for the label, which is really cool. You can see on the top there the early 80s Paramount logo with Gulf Western Company there. Early 80s Paramount Home Video logo, Laser Vision logo on the left side with the all-important warning copyright information. Right side we've got the catalog number extended play, which is also known as CLV, 1 indicating side 1. Bottom of the label in black, The Godfather, copyright 1972 for the release year of the film in theaters. As we can see around basically around the edge of the label, all rights reserved, manufactured by Pioneer Video Incorporated. We can probably thank them for the really good condition of this LaserDisc. Still, all these decades later, still looks pretty good, probably thanks to them. By license under several pending patents, printed in USA. Because this is a not so common 4-sided LaserDisc release, I will be nice and show all 4 labels. This is what the label on side 2 looks like. This is what the label of side 3 looks like. And here is the side 4 label. Imagine that. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I absolutely love getting these archaic home video versions of some of these classic film titles, and LaserDisc is such a perfect home video format to basically archive these ancient film to tape transfers in a way that's really all these decades later still really wonderfully archives the ancient and nowadays completely barbaric. I mean, you could probably use that word, barbaric, just completely ancient film to tape transfer that is featured on the or was and is featured on some of the first home video incarnations of films, and in particular this film, The Godfather. It's just a hoot to see, and not only see but hear the first home video presentation of such a quote unquote beloved classic movie, and just see the absolutely antiquated visual and audio presentation. And it's actually really cool to see where they decided to do side changes on this release as well, and all of the side changes were really well placed too as well. And I remember some of the things they used to say back in the day of LaserDisc, like when they put out the Criterion put out Halloween, the film, the horror film from 1978 on a 2-disc CAV release, which meant you could only have up to 30 minutes of the movie per side. And I remember, some reviews. I remember seeing some reviews in print of that LaserDisc, or maybe LaserDiscs like that. The Criterion also put out a CAV release of the David Fincher film 7 as well. And I've seen some print reviews of those kind of releases where they say, in some cases the side change actually, where they decide to put a side change actually kind of enhances the overall viewing experience of the film, because maybe it's a little bit of a cliffhanger, like Laurie Strode goes into the house, side change, you do the next side starts with her in the house kind of a thing. So side changes on LaserDisc releases is something I never really talked about yet very much at all really, and the side changes can be kind of an art form in itself. And I gotta say, all the side changes on this release of the first Godfather film, there's 4 sides, so they have it had quite an opportunity, double the side changes of a normal film that's under 2 hours long. All the side changes were placed in really good spots, so that's really cool. And like I said with my VHS showcasing of the Funhouse, like in talking about the art of panning and scanning almost being like an art form in itself, I'd say the same thing with figuring out where you're going to put LaserDisc side changes as well, as a little bit of an art form as well. I suppose it's kind of akin to commercial breaks for TV versions of movies as well. But yeah, I'm very glad I got this LaserDisc release. I'm glad I got had the brains enough to get the Pioneer release versus the I can't remember what the hell the earlier release would have been, but maybe Disco Vision possibly. But I'm glad I had that common sense to get the Pioneer release, and I toyed after I got this and watched it. I toyed with the possibility of getting the Godfather Part 2, the original LaserDisc as well, and you know, I'm not nearly as much of a fan necessarily of Godfather Part 2 as I am of the first film, although if you've seen my review of the films, my favorite stuff in Godfather Part 2 is like the telling of the story of you know, Michael's dad and back in the, you know, early 20th century, and the Robert De Niro stuff, you know, Robert De Niro playing the younger version of the Marlon Brando character. That stuff I actually enjoy more than the majority of the Mike stuff. I like the Mike stuff in the first whatever, you know, half hour or whatever of Godfather Part 2, but the bulk of Godfather Part 2 is not as interesting to me as the Godfather, you know, the first film. So I haven't as of yet, you know, got the Godfather Part 2 LaserDisc, and I may or may not get it in the future. Incidentally, I did, it was like was it like last year, maybe the year before, I did come across the Godfather Part 3 LaserDisc release, I think the original one, at Half Price Books, and it was probably just $6 or something, and I didn't get it, and it's just like, fungu! You know, I should have, kind of wish I would have got it, but I didn't get it. So I guess that pretty much does it for this LaserDisc showcasing video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, we'll catch you on the next video. Yeah, this is, you know, although it's really, really simple, this front cover, I mean, I just love this front cover, and just the simple imagery that they decided to use to basically put on the front cover to sell this movie on the front cover.